Hi everyone. In today's challenge, we have this problem minimum cost to cut a stick, and the problem number is 1547. Alright, guys. So first of all, what we are gonna do? We are gonna clearly understand what this problem say. After that, we are gonna move to the logic part. We are gonna see how we can solve this problem, and after that, we are gonna move to the implementation part. We are gonna implement our logic in C++, Java, and Python programming language. Fine, guys. Now let's see what this problem say. Right. So let's understand this problem statement. So given a wooden stick of length n units. Alright. So we are given first of all a stick, and the length is nothing but n unit, right? The stick is labeled from 0 to n. For example, a stick of length 6 is labeled as follow. So here guys, you can see here n is nothing but 6, right? So you can see we are having a stick of length n and they are labeled from 0 to n. That means 6, right? So this is nothing but a stick of length 6. Now, given an integer array cuts, where cuts of I denotes a position, you should perform a cut. Now, see guys, we are given with two things. One is n, which tells us that the length of stick. The second is array. The name of array is nothing but cuts. And where the cuts of I means the value in the cuts array is nothing but tell us that where we can perform a cut, right? So if cuts of I is 2, that means we can perform at the we can perform a cut at second position, right? All right, now you should perform the cut in order. Should perform the cut in order. You can change the order of the cut as you wish. Now guys, understand this particular line. They have given very deeply, right? You should perform the cut in order. We have to perform the cut in order only. You can change the order of the cut as you wish, but we can change the order. So if the cuts look like this, 1 2 5, that doesn't mean that we have to perform in this order only. We can change the order as well. We can do like this 5 2 1 as well, or we can say 2 5 1 as well, right? We can modify this particular cut array as well, right? So basically this is the meaning of this particular line. Now the cost of the one cut is the length of the stick to be cut. The total cost is the sum of the cost of all cuts. So here the meaning of this line you have to understand. They have told us that the cost of one cut is the length of the stick to be cut. If I'm gonna cut here anywhere, if I'm gonna cut at 3, I'm gonna cut at 1, I'm gonna cut at 5, the cost is nothing but the length of total. Or we can say the length I'm gonna cut, right? So here the length is nothing but you can see 6, right? Here we have a length 6, n is 6. If I'm gonna perform any cut, so the my cost is gonna be nothing but 6 only, right? And the total cost is the sum of the cost of all cuts. So now total cost will be, let's say we have to perform 4 cut, so the total cost will be the cost of all these 4 cuts, right? When you cut a stick, it will split into two smaller stick. That is some of the their values is length of the stick before the cut. So this is simple line. After that, please refer to the first example for a better explanation. Actually, it says simple that if I gonna cut anywhere, right? So it's gonna divide into two parts. So if here you will notice, let's say I have this stick with a length 5. Let's take it from 0 and 1 2 3 4 and 5, right? Let's make it little bigger. So we have this length of 6, right? If I'm going to cut anywhere, let's say I cut at 4. So now this stick is going to split into two parts. So the first part will be nothing but this one. We can say 0 1 2 3 4. The next part will be nothing but 4 5 6 and 7. Remember, and the length of this one is nothing but 4. Length of this one is nothing but you can say 3. But the when I cut this particular stick, the my cost was nothing but 7 only. Remember, I perform a cut, my cost is 7 because the total length was 7. After that, I have divided this particular stick into two smaller part. So this was the basically meaning of this line, right? Now return the minimum total cost of the cut. Now we have to return the minimum cost, or we can say total cost of the cuts, right? After performing this cuts array, we can say, right? So now let's see the example one and let's understand this in a detail. So we are given the example, this one example 1 3 4 5 and n is 7, right? So we have already make a 7, right? So let's remove this one. Let's remove this one as well, right? Fine. So now what we have to do, we have to perform a cut. We can say we can change order as well, right? So let's say if I use this particular order only 1 3 4 and 5, right? So this is the order they have given. So if I use this order, then let's see what is the total cost we are going to get, right? So first we have to perform at the 1, right? If I'm going to perform a cut at the 1 position, then what will be the my stick look like? This will be the 1 stick, and this next stick will be 2. We can set it 7, right? So the cost I have got is nothing but 7, right? Initially, because the length was 7. After that, I have to perform a cut at 3. So 3 will be nothing but this is not 1 2 3 4 5, and let's make one more 6, right? So now I have to perform a cut at third. So I have to perform here. So now my stick will be look like this is the already present, right? We haven't touched this one, but we have to touch this one. So this is gonna look like 1 2 3. Okay, so let me move this line, and 3 4 5 6 and 7. But now my cost was nothing but 6. You can see there was 6 length of this one, right? So I have to add 6 in my cost. So it is going to be nothing but 7 plus 6, right? Now let's little bit scroll up. Now I have to perform a cut at 4. So I'm going to perform a cut here. So it's going to look like 3, 4, and 4, 5, 6, and 7, right? So here the length was nothing but how much the length we have? We have length 4. So I'm just going to write 7 plus 6 plus 4. So let's now last cut is nothing but at 5, right? So I have to perform a cut at 5, which is nothing but here. So I'm going to say last is going to be look like 4, 5, and 5, 6, and 7, right? Now here the length was nothing but we can say 3, right? So length is 3, so we can just add 3 here. So we are going to get a total cost 7 plus 6 plus 4 plus 3. This is nothing but we can say 13 plus 4 17 plus 3 20. So total cost we are getting 20 if we perform this particular order. I hope you are getting right. But if we don't perform this order, if we perform another order which they have explained in the example only, so if you take this particular order, right, where it is there, they haven't mentioned, but here you can see if we perform this particular order 3 5 1 4, right, 3 5 1 and 4. So then you can see first of all we have cut at 3, right? So we have divided into two part, but total cost was how much? The total cost was nothing but 7 only, right, initially. After that we have to perform cut at 5. So if I'm going to perform a cut this particular part, then I have to divide into two part, 3 to 5 and 5 to 7. And the total cost will be the length of this one, which is nothing but we can say 4. So cost is nothing but 7 plus 4. After in the third step, we have to perform a cut at 1. So if I'm going to perform a cut at 1, then it is going to divide into two parts, 0 to 1 and 1 to 3. And the total cost was nothing but length of this, which is nothing but 3, right? Here you can see this length is 3, right? I hope you are getting this particular part, 7 plus 4 plus 3. After that, I have to perform a cut at which one? Fourth, right? So I have to perform a cut at 4. So here you can see if I'm performing a cut at 4, so I'm going to divide 3 to 4 and 4 to 5 in two part, right? And the length was 2 only. So 7 plus 4 is nothing but 11 plus 3 to 14. 14 plus 2 is nothing but 16, and we are getting answer 16, which is optimal, right? Earlier we were getting a 420, now we are getting a 16, and we can't get less than 16, so we are going to return nothing but 16 only. So this was basically the we can say problem statement and example. I hope you understood the problem now. What we have to do, we have to take a particular stick, we have to keep dividing, and we have to cut as the given value in the cuts array, right? We can't cut at random position. We have to cut only where the cuts array have that particular value. All right, so that's what the problem statement. I hope guys you understood the part. Now let's see the logic, how we can solve this problem. We can't do manually, right? We have to think about something which can do in our, we can say, optimal time complexity and space complexity, right? So logic, let's see the logic part. So guys, logic, you have understood this particular logic by this example only, right? So what actually we were doing, we have this array, right? 1 3 4 5 array initially, right? So what we can do actually, first we can try with the 1, right? We can say cut the part from 1 first of all right? So if you we can say, or we can make a recursion, right? So I can say I'm at 0 index and total length is nothing but my 7, right? This is one the case, right? So we are having a 0 index and we are at 7 index. Total length of stick is 7. Now if I perform a cut at the first index, first position, right? This is the cuts array. I hope you know this. If I perform this particular cuts array, this first we can say position, so my stick is going to divide into two part, 0 to 1 and 1 to 7. So this was the case, right? So I can say let me just say if I use this particular one array, right? So let me like this thing. So if I use a one array first in cuts, right? So my stick will be going to divide into two part, which is nothing but 0 to 1 and 1 to 7. If I use a we can say this particular cut at third position initially, first time, so my stick will be look like nothing but 0 to 3 to 3 to 7, right? If I use the third part in its beginning, fourth means if I cut at the fourth position at the first time, so my stick will be initially look like 0 to 4, comma, we can say 4 to 7, right? And so for 5 as well, right? So you can understood your 5 as well. So what we are doing, we are initially check for every, we can say, position, right? Because the cuts length is nothing but less than we can say 100 or 1000. Let's check it in the browser as well, right? So here let's see what is the length of cuts. You can see cuts length is not more than 100, right? So we can use this particular thing. It will not give a TI, right? So we are checking for everyone. Initially we are saying that let's say first of all cut from this index, or let's cut at third, or let's cut at four, or let's cut a stick at fifth position, right? So we are checking for everyone. Once you let's say you have starting from one, right? You cut at first position, so you are splitting into two half. Now here also you will have this array, cuts array, but right, cuts array 1 3 4 5, right? But you can't cut at first now. Why is it the case? Because you have already taken it. And how you gonna handle this particular part, we will see in the code, right? But here you can cut at a 3 or 4 or 5, right? So this is gonna, if you take 3, so what it will gonna look like, it's gonna look like you have 0 to 1, right? So you can't take at 3 as well here, right? So why you can't take 3? Because you have only stick 0 to length, you have stick of 0 to 1, right? So you can't take 3 as well, 4 as well, 5 as well, so it's gonna return nothing but 0. So here it's gonna return 0. But here you can see you can't take 1, but you can take 3, right? So it's gonna say 1 to 3 and 3 to 7, right? So it will keep going, and once it will get a condition like here we go that we can't cut on this particular stick, so it's gonna return 0, right? But the length here, if I cut, so here guys, if I use this particular part, the length is nothing but 7 only, right? So let's take a different color. So if I cut initially, it was a length of 7 for everyone. I have to make sense, right? If I cut here, the length is nothing but 6, right? I hope you are getting this particular part. So we are checking every possibility at the end. When we are getting, we have to just keep adding sum. So here, if I add this particular sum, so it's gonna give me 30. If I go and let's say this is taking only 5, so it's gonna give me 12. So it's taking only 2. Then we can say in lower recursion part, so it's gonna take 9. It's not taking anything, so it's gonna take 7. So we have to take the minimum one. Here it's giving 13, 12, 9, and 7. So minimum is 7. So we are gonna return 7. Just a case. Don't understand this particular example as it is. I'm saying we can't try full recursion over here, it will going to take a lot of time. But yeah, we just keep trying this recursion, and we at the end we can say base condition we are returning 0, and we keep adding the sum of, right? So whichever the, we can say the possibility is going to give a minimum sum, we are going to take that particular sum. So it was giving a 13, it was giving a 12, it was giving a 9, it was giving a 7. So 7 is the minimum one, right? So this tells us that we have to initially cut from 5th position, right? So just we have to do this particular part, and we can solve this particular problem. So this was the first logic, right? And second logic you will see in the code as well, which I'm going to implement in C++. I'm not going to implement this logic in C++. Why? Because I have tried and all the test cases passed, but there's one condition which we are getting, right? So I will tell you what is that condition. So I'm going to use a different logic there as well, but the logic will be remain same. Means idea will be remain same. We have to use a recursion and this part only. Let's move to the implementation part and let's see, right? And I will try suggest you that use this particular logic in C++ as well. You will see what is the problem over there, right? If you figure out, then definitely well and good. And if you could know, then let's see here, right? So first of all, I'm with Python. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try recursion, right? So for that, I have to make a function define source. This is going to take 0 and 0 initially, right? So we can say start, which is initially 0, and end, which is initially 7 in our first example, right? Here it could be n, right? After that, I'm going to say that if let's make a DP as well, right? For memorizations, because it can't be solved in without DP, right? If we are making a recursion, so we can say if start comma end in DP. So what you can do, you can simply say return DP of start comma end, right? So if this case we have already traversed, so we can say simply return this particular part. But if we haven't traversed, so we can say traverse this particular part, right? So we can say first of all result, which is going to be nothing but float of infinity. Okay, and now here we can say for I, or not, or we can say in cuts array, right? So for value in cuts, now we know that we have to check whether this cut can be applied to this particular stick or not, right? So we can say if value is greater than or equal to our we can say, what we could say here, we could say start, right? Not greater, then we have to use a smaller. If it is smaller than start, or if value is greater than or equal to end, so we can't take this particular cut, right? So we can simply say cut continue this particular part. Now, if it is not the case, so we can cut this particular stick in that particular order as well, right? So here what I'm meaning is this, if you will focus over here, so here you can see we have 0, 1. So we can't apply any cut here, right? So we are using that particular condition, but here we have 1 to 7. So we can apply this 3 cut over there, 3, 4, and 5, right? So we have this condition, so we are going to apply this. So we're going to say result is going to be nothing but minimum result comma. Now if we are going to apply it, so we are going to add first of all the length of this, right? So length will be nothing but n minus start, right? 7 minus 0, it was the length of that, right? Once we have added the length, we are going to call this function again. So start comma, now we have divided in two parts, so start comma value, and we have to pass another function which is nothing but sol. Now we can say value comma end, right? So if you are not getting this particular part, then also let me tell you this thing. This is very easy one. So we have divided into two half this particular main stick, right? First length will be 0 to, we can say, whatever the value here was. So if start comma value, and second will be value to end, right? So if you understood value is 5, so 0 to 5 and 5 to 7, right? So we have divided into two part, and we are just taking the minimum of result or this particular value. So once we are done this, we are going to say dp of start comma end. We are going to store in our dp as well. So this is going to be nothing but result. After this, we are going to simply return our result. Let's call this function solve and see, guys, we haven't passed a dp, right? After that, we are going to get an error. and I don't want to get an error in C++ or in Python or Java, right? They both really, I would say that I don't want to get error in that particular programming language, right? So 0, I'm going to start from 0 and till the length, and after that I'm going to return whatever this function is going to return me, right? And one more condition we have to use here. What is that condition? If you figure out, so if result is none of the case is gonna we can say false, this particular condition means none, our stick can't be divided at least any more time, right? See, if you will focus here, we have this f01, so none of the cost, right, could ever divide this particular stick, right? So what we are going to end up with, our result is going to be nothing but infinity, right? We don't want that. We want that result should give a 0, right? So if result is still infinity, means if result is still infinity, so we can say result is 0. This is our base condition, right? So now let's run this code and see whether we are getting a right output or not. And we haven't used everything. Let's see whether we are getting error or not, right? So you can see both the test case pass, right? So we can submit this code as well. So by this we have successfully done with the Python. Now let's move to the Java, right? So let's hit complete first. So you can see it successfully submitted, right? Now let's move to the Java programming language. And here, first of all, what we are going to do, we are going to define a map. So we can say map, the data type is going to be nothing but string, and integer is going to be the value, key and value, right? Now here the name I'm going to give dictionary. I'm going to say dictionary is going to be nothing but new hash map, and here new hash map is look like this. After that I'm going to call a function which is going to be written nothing but this soul, and I'm going to call with 0 comma n comma cuts. Here I have to pass cuts because I'm using a function outside of this function. So public int soul, here start int n and int cuts, right? Here I could say if our this particular, first of all let me make a key, right? String key is nothing but gonna be start colon plus n. So I make a key, unique key, and I'm gonna check it if dictionary, let's write here this, if dictionary dot contains key, this particular key, then you have to return, right? We have already traversed that particular scenario, so we don't want to traverse again, so we can say return dictionary don't get this particular key. But if it is not the case, so let's define first of all variable which is going to be nothing but integer dot max value, let me write max value, fine. After that I'm going to say traverse over this particular cuts array, and here you can say if this value is greater than or equal to our end, or value is less than or equal to start. So you can say we don't want to divide into that particular stick, right? We don't have this much length of stick so that we can divide it that particular part. So if this is the condition, you can simply continue it, right? But if it is not a true, right? So that means we can divide our stick into that particular position, right? So we can say okay, just divide it. So result is going to be minimum of result, comma. You have to first of all add the length, which is nothing but is end minus start, plus you have to divide into two part, right? So first part will be start comma value. Second, and we have to pass cuts here as well. And second is going to be nothing but plus so value comma n, and here I have to pass cuts. After that I have to check one condition if my result is still integer dot max value. So what I can say, none of the condition, none of the cuts is valid for my this stick. So I can simply say just result make result is equal to 0. Now after that I can store in my dp node. I can say dictionary dot put this particular key at this particular value, and so you can simply return result. Once this is done, we are going to run this particular function, right? So let's see. In Java I got an error. I don't want that, right? But I don't know why. Let's run this now. A small typo error can also waste, right? One more error that is nothing but solve, right? So what is the error here? Let's see. So cannot find a simple solve. Well, let's see. Solve is not able to find out why it is the case. So let's check it why it's not able to find out solve. So solve is there. We have solve. So it's saying that, all right, so it's not able to find out solve node. It's not able to find out minimum, right? So we have to use math.min. I hope you're getting. We don't have min function in Java, right? So we have to use math.min. All right, now you can see that both the test case pass finally. Now let's try to submit this code. And I hope it will also get submitted, right? And here we go, guys. So we have successfully submitted with Java as well. Now let's move to the last programming language, that is nothing but C++. And here, guys, I'm not going to use this logic. Just I'm going to, we can say, slightly change the logic part, which is nothing but, and you can assume this particular as your homework, or you can assume this particular thing as a brainstorming part. Just think, see what a little change I have done. Because if you will try the last logic, you will get a TLE, although your all test case will pass. 100 out of 100 will pass, but there's a bug, I don't know why, but I'm gonna not use that logic here. But if you will use, you will definitely pass all the test case 100 out of 100. And but if here I'm going to use a different, which is nothing but I'm going to take up, first of all, let's append in cuts, not append, we can push back, right? In vector we can push 0, we can push let me say push back n as well. Why I'm pushing this? Because in a cuts part we will never have a 0 n, right? But we want this in our logic. Why? Let me tell you. After that we are going to define dp. So we can say here, there we have defined a hash map, right? So here I'm going to define a array. So we can say vector of here in the name of this nothing but dictionary, and here this is going to have a size m plus 1. M is nothing but going to be nothing but our 100, right? At max 100 it could be m at max 100. So let's calculate the size of cuts. So in time is going to be nothing but cuts dot size, right? So it's going to be nothing but at max 100 m plus 1 comma, and by default it's going to have let's say vector int, and a vector int of size. What you want to give? You want to give a size m plus 1 again, and the by default minus 1, right? And now you will gonna call your function, which was our earlier function return. And here what we are going to pass? We are going to pass nothing but we can say initially we are going to pass 1, and because after that m, and after that we are going to pass cuts array, then we are going to pass this dictionary, right? Now guys, see what we have passed. Why we have passed 1? Why we haven't passed 0? Just focus over there. We are going to say integer solve function, and this is 1 is nothing but our start, m is nothing but our end, and after that we can say this vector of end, and this is nothing but we could say, right, cuts. After that we can say vector of dictionary, right? So let's copy this particular part, this particular one we don't want again and again, right? So I could say this particular thing, so this particular thing, right? So I can say dictionary. Fine. Now guys, what we are going to do, we are going to first of all check if n is greater than, right? So we're going to check if start, either you can do anything, if start is greater than n, so that means it is not possible return 0. And why it is so? See guys, first of all we have done our cuts array. We have, let's say cut array was first, you will understand from this example, right? So you will not understand like that. So it was the cuts array 1 3 4 5. So we have appended 0 and 5. After 5 we have appended n, means the 7, right? And why we have done? Because we want to do this thing, because we can say 0 1 3 4 5 and 7. So we have now this array after appending this 0 and n, right? Now I want to sort it first of all, because here it was by default sort, but now we, what we want, we don't want it, we want to sort it, right? In future it, or in any some test cases we don't have this sorted, right? So we can say sort first of all, and this is going to be nothing but cuts dot begin and cuts dot end. Once this is sorted, now what we are going to do, we are going to say, now you can do like this one, same concept, earlier concept. You are going to see first of all at 1 you're coding, you're taking this particular part. After that, if you're not taking, then you are taking 3 part. Even if you're not taking, you are taking 4 part. First time, if you're not taking that particular as well, you are taking a first time 5 part. If it is still not, you are gonna do this particular 7 part, right? So I hope you're getting this particular thing. Same logic, nothing difference, all thing is same. Just what we have to, we now we are playing with the index, not with the value, right? So I'm gonna say here, if this is not the case, first of all let's check in dp if dictionary of start and end, if it is not equal to -1, that means we have already traversed it, right? And we can simply return 0, right? But if it is not the case, means if we haven't traversed it, we are going to traverse first time, so we are going to define a result variable which is going to be integer max, right? If it is the case, now we are going to see why, what I mean by this. I'm going to say, I'm going to use here the index array, right? That doesn't mean anything, right? So we can use a value as well, but here I'm going to start with the index, indexing. So indexing is nothing but start and till we have n, right? So I can say int I is equal to start and I less than should or equal to my n and I plus plus. And you will say that it is going to take 7 as well, right? If I less than equal to n, so it is going to take 7 as well. But see guys, here we have passed m. M is not we can say 7. We have taken m before pushing, right? So here length is nothing but still we could say length is nothing but, what is the length here? So if you will focus over length, length is nothing but 4 only, right? So I can say length is 4. So here m will be 4. So it will gonna run 4, right? So I less than equal to n. After that we can say take this particular part or don't take it, right? So here we are gonna take it. So if I'm gonna say result is equal to maximum of result, or you can say you are taking this particular part. So what will be the length? Length will be cuts of start, or we can say cuts of end plus 1, right? Minus cuts of start minus 1. Now you will find here we are doing a different thing, right? So now you have to understand this particular part with this example. So let's say you are performing a cut at 1 position, right? If you're performing a cut at 1 position, so what you're doing here? So we are performing a position at the cut 1. So I have to divide into take the full length, right? So full length is nothing but still will be the m minus 1, right? So cut of m is nothing but 4. So 4 minus we can say 4 plus 1 is nothing but what is that? That is nothing but 7, right? So because we have appended this n in cut series. So now you will say at the fifth index, 4 plus 1 is nothing but fifth index you have 7, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 7, right? And after that start minus 1 means 1 minus 1 is 0. So at cut of 0 we have 0. So 7 minus 0 is nothing but 7 length initially. So this is nothing but same logic we are using, right? Just want to show you the different, so that's why I'm doing this particular part with C++, right? You can do the left logic as well. Both are going to give the same part. Now what we are going to do, we are going to call solve function. Here we are going to divide into two parts. So the first part will be nothing but start comma we can pass I, and here we can, for the first part we are going to subtract by minus 1 because we don't want to include this I again in the next part. After that we are going to pass cuts array, then we are going to pass dictionary, right? Plus solve. After that I plus 1 comma we can say end, then we can pass cuts, then we're going to pass dictionary, right? Once this is done, we're going to say return our result. But wait, we are, before returning we are going to store in our dp, right? Dp in dictionary of we can say start and is nothing but equal to this, right? Once this is done, we are going to say we are going to done with actually, right? So let's try to run this code, see whether we have solved successfully or not. And guys, I know this particular logic I haven't told you in the we can say by the drawing part. So you will try to understand by yourself if you are getting, because it's going to take a more length of the video if I start explaining this one. But it is the same actually earlier, right? Just here we are playing with index, there we are playing with the actual value, right? Well, let's say we got an error that is sign integer overflow. So what actually we have done over here, let's see. So undefined behavior sign integer overflow. So let's check out what we have done. So basically we are checking if start is greater than n, return 0. If start of n is not equal to 1, then fine. After that we are moving from start to n, right? Cool, this is fine. After that we are saying that cut of n plus 1 minus cut of start minus 1, fine. And for the solve, start is going to remain same and n is going to be I minus 1. After that cut this I plus 1 and this fine, right? So it's fine, right? So let's check out this one condition as well. It's going to solve the way. Otherwise we have to discuss something else, right? So you can see still we are getting a sign integer. So there is something issue which we have not figured out, right? So we have this cuts array, fine. After that we are saying start should we start until n, right? Fine. And I plus plus. So result is going to be nothing but this particular result. So here it's going to take us some time, right? So result int max. Okay, the assigned flow is because we have used a max function. We have to use a min, right? Okay, now let's see. Both the test case fail. Why it is so? We haven't added it. So we are getting a 7, right? So we are not adding it, I guess. Cuts of end minus cuts of start plus 1. Fine. After that we have done this particular. Okay, so we are returning a 0 here, right? So we have written dictionary of start and end. So I don't know why we get this much error in C++. Now let's see. Still the case, right? Here still we are getting 11, right? So can you find out the mistake? Just think about this, right? So we are storing into our result and we're returning that particular part start and end is nothing but result. Result is going to be minimum of cuts of n plus 1. Alright, so we have to run from plus 1, right? So we don't want to take this particular one as well. So now let's run this code. What is the case now? Do we have something wrong with this particular one? I plus 1 till n and cuts dictionary is going to same. I plus 1 till end, it is also going to remain same, and right, it's fine. I hope it's working fine, right? So we have sorted it as well. We have done with the m plus 1 dictionaries. So cut of size is also same. Everything is working fine. If start is greater than end, so let's see, right? If it is solve the problem, and let's do this particular part as well. I have to do it. Let's run this code, right? I don't know why I'm facing this particular issue, but it should work, right? You can see both the test case passed finally. I hope so. And the basic issue was if it is equal to n, so still we have to take, right? Because we are passing one I minus 1 and here I plus 1. We are not repeating that particular part. If we pass here I only, not I minus 1, here also I, no, not I plus 1. So we have to use the equal to condition, right? And now let's try to submit this code. And finally it should get submitted, right? So you can see, guys, we have successfully solved with C++ as well. I hope you got the idea, right? So these two, Python and C++, are same, Note Python and Java are same logic, but C++ we are playing with this index. So if you have still any kind of doubt, you can write in the comment section. I'm always there to help you. And if you learn something new in this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe my channel. Meet you in the next video.